trip around the sun for Anderson County. Let's start with some big economic development news. I guess the biggest one came in the fall. How long did it take to help Bosch decide to locate that hydrogen fuel battery facility in Anderson County?
Well, Bosch conducted their own search with all of the facilities that they own around the world. And at the end, it was us and two other places. And the county worked very hard, and our council stepped up to the plate big time to make sure that that was here in Anderson, because that really is an international announcement, and it is part of the future of energy in the world. And so we're very happy to have it here, and we're also happy to have all of the new jobs that are going to come here because of that. And those are going to be jobs that pay very well. And Bosch has been a great neighbor here since they located here in 1985. They've continued to grow, continued to expand. And you find a whole lot of people who've worked at Bosch their whole careers. And so we're excited about it. We're glad they put their trust and faith in us and that we would have the workforce to implement what they want to do. And I mean, they're moving ahead gangbusters on that project right now.
And then earlier, FedEx announced that $45 million logistics. That one, though, it didn't have to start with very many jobs. It looks like the building's already up. Will there be more jobs there?
There'll be a lot more jobs. But in the negotiations with us, they promised 12, and they're going to over-deliver. And anytime somebody over-delivers, we're very pleased with that. But if you look behind that FedEx facility, you will see the Hunt Midwest buildings going up. They already have one up that's 268,000 square feet, and they have plans for more behind the FedEx facility. And if you don't go down that road, you don't know that there's monster buildings behind there and monster buildings under construction. So all of that's taken. Well, Hunt Midwest they do warehousing and spec buildings. So, people can come in there and put a factory here. But we're getting a lot of traffic on all of our buildings. I mean, we've got one building, I'm not going to mention which one, it's got 4 offers on it right now from really good companies. But the person who owns that building will decide, who he lets have that building. So a lot of activity, a lot of spec building going on. More spec building will be going on.
And the county's not having to build them anymore.
No, we primed that pump and it took off. So we're good to go now.
Another one I thought was just kind of an interesting one that had some of the highest paying jobs we've ever seen is the startup that's growing, that's offering to figure out how to make chocolate with half the calories.
Yeah, well, Tetram has been a success story that we've been working with them for probably over 12 years. They're located in Pendleton, and I think in one of their remarks they made, why are we graduating all of these people from Clemson with PhDs in molecular biology and all of these other disciplines, and they have to leave here to go find a job when they don't want to leave here. So Tetramer has been a big part of providing jobs, very well-paying jobs in the Pendleton area, and they're continuing to grow, and we're going to continue to help them grow.
They got some kind of international recognition this year.
Just recently they did for one of their subsidiaries, and so that's good. And that goes on. I mean, we're having announcements that are worldwide in nature, not just, boy, that's a big deal here in South Carolina.
And speaking of building out, is there enough dirt in the county for TTI to continue to build?
I don't know. I think they're going to end up buying up everything that touches them. So they're continuing to expand. As you can see, if you just ride around the county, there are a whole lot of people moving here, and there are a whole lot of people who are, say, moving up the job ladder, if you will, creating space at the bottom for people to get a toehold and begin their process of climbing up the ladder. So yes, we have enough people, and we're getting some more people, and we continue to have people from Abbeville who come to work here, from Pickens, from Oconee.
How about updates on Equinox Mill? Because that'll bring in a whole lot more housing and retail and all kind of stuff.
That's going well. We took another step on that. That's going to be, interest rates are hurting a lot of development right now. With the sky-high interest rates, I talked to a person who's wanting to build another hotel here in Anderson County, and A, they said they couldn't find anybody to build it, and B, the prices that they're getting are out of the, just way off the map. So they still want to build the hotel, but they're slowing down that process because they just don't want to pay the high construction costs. You're seeing some of that. You're not seeing that too much in housing right now because we're still inundated with people wanting to build subdivisions, still getting a lot of that.
Equinox, I mean, are we looking at 5 to 10 years?
We're looking 5 years. We're not looking at 10, but
Okay.
we're looking at 5.
And that'll really change the face of downtown.
Well, that will change the face of everything if you get that area up and going.
All that
But-
housing, 100-plus
But we're
housing.
also working with some groups. Right now, there's several local companies in town that really will buy up just any buildable lot that they can find and put a new house on it. They go out, they find a lot in an existing neighborhood, boom, they buy that lot, they put a new house on it. You're getting a lot of that going on, and you're getting a lot of that over there in the Equinox, Old Anderson Mill area, where you wouldn't think that would happen, but it's happening. And some of these lots are really creative to build on, but they're doing that. So you're seeing a lot of that. But those are local people. That's not these big national housing companies.
But that can transform neighborhoods. You start putting new.
But as soon as you start putting some new stuff in there, it transforms it. Plus, we're getting new subdivisions and requests for new subdivisions in the southern part of Anderson, the Homeland Park area. I was talking to their water manager, Homeland Park Water, and he said they're buying every lot they can find down there. We're selling more water than we ever have. So you're getting growth all over the county. But he said, again, what I just said, he said, if there's a lot, somebody's putting a house on it. And you're going to continue to see more of those tiny home developments across the country. You're seeing them a lot more in other parts of the country than you are here. There's a company in Abbeville, Mennonite, and they're making those tiny homes. One of the models they make's $80,000. You know, when you're having houses cost what they are, you can get someplace to live for 80, and more people are getting used to that idea. And especially if it's in a community or communal setting where you may have other amenities in there other than your little house. You got a park, you got a swimming pool, you got something to do. They're becoming very popular.
One of the other biggest announcements, obviously, of the year was the decision to build a new detention center. Designer's been chosen for the $55 million facility, and you've said maybe 3 years will be up and running?
Hopefully. I mean, it will be. It will be. It won't be hopefully. I hope it will be up in 2 years.
And other than more space out there, how will this new facility put people in a better situation than we've been in over the next 50 years?
Well, we're trying to do something with recidivism. Some drug programs, diversion programs, the mental health courts is closer than it's ever been. The opioid settlement money that we're receiving, that we can receive now, we're looking to see how we can do that to assist with people with drug problems when they go to jail, find ways to help them get out, other than instead of just, all right, you've served your time, get out, and should we reserve a room for you back here in 2 weeks? So if you can divert 10% of your population, you've done a great deal. I'd like it to be 100%, but if we can take some of that money and do that diversion to at least 10%, we've done something. Plus, we're also working on that crisis stabilization unit so people don't have to go to jail, or they don't have to go sit over at the emergency room where they shouldn't be in the first place because they have a mental health problem. So we need to have more of that. The whole country needs to have more of that. That's not Anderson, that's the whole country, but we have an opportunity to do something different and hopefully lead the way towards that. And that's one of the ideas behind the jail. It's not a building, it's a whole concept of what you do to treat that population.
So let's talk about parks, because there's been a lot going on. Let's start with the Civic Center. Big events out there, Dixie Youth World Series, state championships, state wrestling championships. The county made some substantial improvements to the grounds out there. Just a lot going on at the Civic Center this year.
We're still looking for money to complete Kid Venture, one of the big projects we have right now, and we're collecting money for that every day. We got an additional appropriation from the legislative delegation the other day for our playground out at the airport. We have a price tag on that of $350,000. Right now we're sitting at around $200,000, and we're snatching every grant money, every piece of grant money we can, and we have a lot of individuals who have donated substantial money to that, and we're waiting on a couple of big grant announcements. I would love for that aviation themed playground to be open by next June. That's council really would like to have that. Our airport is attracting a lot of attention. We were on the phone yesterday with an Italian airplane manufacturer looking to possibly go there. I'm not telling you they're going there. And we've all had some interest from people who would like to put a hotel out at our airport. So council's vision to let's get rid of this dumpy terminal and make something really nice and spruce up, fix all our runways and bring people in. We also have people who want to put their corporate jets there now. So that's one of the new frontiers. Our airport manager, Brett Garrison, who's been there almost 2 years now, has really changed the way that place looks, thinks, and operates. Our sales of fuel are up, and we've got to build some hangars out there because if we built 10 hangars right now, they would be filled up completely. But they cost so much, so we're looking how to find ways that we can finance that and not be a burden on the taxpayers.
Well, the fuel sales, which is what funds most things, have been.
Yes.
And before we leave the airport, we had a local legend recognized for his work.
Yep. Hugh was honored by the Air Show Announcers Association. Hugh's done a lot for the Anderson County Airport over the years. He's done a lot for the air show business over the years. He served as temporary manager of the airport when we said, Hugh, you got to come in here and help us do this. And he's always been one of the greatest ambassadors we had for the Anderson Airport. So he's a special person, and he's being awarded a really big honor, and we're very, very happy for Hugh.
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer, but he always thought he was a Hall of Famer anyway.
Well, you mentioned, back to the Civic Center, you mentioned Kid Venture. It really, what has been finished, looks pretty complete. It doesn't look like an incomplete playground.
It was designed like that, but we still have more to do, and then even after we finish these plans, there's more to do because as the population grows, more people are going to go there. And we got a couple of wrinkles coming up for this season that are going to be a little different, that'll make it nicer. And we had to remove one of the older playgrounds over there, the smaller one, but it didn't meet any ADA requirement. There was no way to make it meet an ADA requirement, and it was just a hazard. So we've moved that one. We're going to put all our dollars and effort into Kid Venture.
I mentioned the improvements to the grounds at the Civic Center. I think several people at the Dixie Youth World Series mentioned to me it looked better than the other places they played out. I know y'all were trying to get ready for them.
Well, we're trying to get ready for them, but on Martin Luther King Boulevard, the back of the baseball fields always look bad. Council said that looks bad, fix it up, so we fixed it up. So now it makes it pretty going down through there. We've done a lot of work out there at the Civic Center to improve the way it looks. We have more work to do. Council just voted to bring the trail, the East-West Parkway, into the Civic Center. We're going to bring it right inside the Civic Center, but then we're going to try to carry it on through all the way. I met with a member of City Council today talking about the city's trail system, and we were also talking about the trail to Belton, which we already have $250,000, which Duke Energy gave us to do that, and that's been given to the United Way to kind of spearhead that effort, and we were talking about ways to find other money to do that, because you're getting a lot of emphasis from a lot of people on recreation and quality of life, a lot.
And wanting to be a walking area, I mean, we'll skip to that and come back, but I think they've almost completed the ANMED 81 North Campus to them. They got those bridges, huge bridges, they got those in, and once they get the little easements to those, it's pretty much a complete walking clear, and I've seen people using it like crazy while it's being constructed.
And they're going to, and when it is complete, for some reason, a mental switch will go off, and you're going to see more and more people use it. So we need to make it longer, bigger, and safer.
And connecting to the city trails, and then, like you said, eventually maybe, but immediately it gives Anderson a walkability it didn't have before.
Absolutely.
I guess maybe the biggest long-term thing next to the trail at the Civic Center is the new permanent stage at the amphitheater. And y'all got it in just in time to celebrate Anderson. Remind people why that was such a close call.
Well, because of the weather and the rain and the materials being held up, supply chain issues, but we got that in. But I can assure you this summer, we will be providing the space, but we're going to have a very huge concert out there that's going to kick off a whole new era in things going out there because we have that new stage. We've never had a really good stage, but now we have a first-class stage, and I think, well, all I'm saying is in the summer, it's going to be some stuff.
Are we going to do some new seating and stuff out there, too?
I would love for us, and council would love for us to have seating right near the stage.
Premium seating?
That's one of our goals, but we can't afford it right now because we don't want to put that burden on the taxpayers, but we're looking at ways to see if we can find money to do that because we need some fixed seating right there.
Let's talk about the Salina River Blue Trail. It saw a substantial expansion in 2022. Got water access at Piedmont Riverfront Park, new ramp, Belton Landing off Cooley Bridge Road. How will these new sites improve recreation down through the county?
Well, as you know, on this council's agenda for next Tuesday, we have another step in getting our grant from the National Park Service, saying that that will only be used for recreation. That's almost 30-acre site right there at the dam in Piedmont. We've already got $500,000 plus to develop that, so we're going to start doing some work on that pretty quick. We've also got some more stuff that we need to do at Green Pond, and the most important thing that's happened at Green Pond is Mr. Colin Smith, who works for Anderson County. And Colin's worked for us for a long time, and his father's worked for the county for a long time, Greg Smith, who runs our solid waste division, probably one of the greatest people in Anderson County, I'm just telling you. But his son won the tournament we had out at Green Pond. He won the doubles tournament, so that was a big deal.
$25,000 prize.
$25,000, but then he won the fish-off, and he won that, which guaranteed him a spot in the Bassmaster Classic. Now, unfortunately, we're not hosting this year, so we will be representing Anderson County in the Bassmaster Classic in Knoxville, Tennessee. So everybody in the county is proud of Colin, and everybody's going to support him, and we're going to support him because it's local boy does good. So we're all excited about that. Legendary Green Pond.
It generated somewhere around $40 million for the
Yes.
area in 2022.
Yes.
That's a $40 million impact.
Yes. When we started this, Matt Shell, our director of parks, contacted Bassmaster and said, what do y'all want to see in a facility? So we gave them input before one blade of grass was disturbed. So they've been like present at the creation, which also created, they kind of feel like they got a stake in the deal too. So they've been very good to us as of last weekend. But even the weekend before that, we had the high school championship put on by Marty Walker.
College, high school, and middle school, yeah.
Yep. Put on by Marty Walker at Palmetto Marine. And I mean, you went down there and you saw a tent from it, just about every high school you could imagine down there, which made me so happy and excited. So that place has done what it was supposed to do, and it's done more, and it will continue to do even more.
The amphitheater was completed this year,
Yes.
and it's been used for a number of things, including all the weigh-ins and stuff.
Yep.
Also some theater productions. Any plans for concerts and stuff out there?
Yep, looking towards concerts and plays for next year, next spring. We're already looking at a couple of ideas out there for some free concerts, get somebody to sponsor them. And we're looking at some tribute bands to come out there and do that. And so we're working towards that. But one of the things that's held us back on that is we have to we have to invent all of the electrical, and we were able to receive some money from somebody else that's going to allow us to put in all the electrical systems we need there. And we're also working with another private company who's going to run sewer to their place. We're going to piggyback with them, put some money in it, and have more sewer at Green Pond. So there's always something going on in one of our parks, something you may not be able to see it, but we're working. We're also trying to put host sites at Green Pond so we can have somebody there volunteer all year round. We're also looking to do the same thing at River Forks, where, just like state parks do, if you agree to do some maintenance for us while here, you can stay here. So we're looking to do that, so we'll have eyes on all our parks.
Back at the Dolly Cooper Park, which they also, they have a trail there, and they saw a lot of improvements this year. Just kind of recap the improvements that happened at that big park. That's the biggest park in the county, I guess.
Well, right now we're putting in the pavilion, a covered pavilion. That's going on right now. We're doing some more road work, more parking work. As soon as we get money to do something at Dolly Cooper, we put that money in Dolly Cooper. So that's almost a continuous process, and it will be a continuous process. But Dolly Cooper gets a whole lot of use, and every day it gets more use. So we're going to continue, council's going to continue making sure that we have that money there. Plus, we're also, as you know, the pickleball courts at Hurricane Springs and some of the partnerships we have with some of the towns on things we can do to improve their recreation, because a lot of our recreation historically has been done by the towns.
Well, closer in here, Anderson, Wellington Park was transformed and is getting a lot of daily use.
Yes.
Give folks a reminder how that renovation happened this year.
People in the community found out about this new grant, so we applied for it, they applied for it, we got it, we put a lot of county money in it, and it is in the Homeland Park area, and it's used constantly, and it's pride of ownership in that community, in that park, because there's no vandalism whatsoever. They take beautiful.
That's what people weren't worried about, and it's not happened at all.
Oh, you're not going to do that, you're not going to do that. There's less vandalism there than any park we have, including Green Pond and at Kid Venture.
Counties put together recreation plans for all districts, and they've had citizen input on all these plans. What's the next step in putting those plans out and taking action?
Well, after we get that list, and we're going to have to see how much all of these things cost, develop a plan of action, and start checking them off the list. Again, quality of life is important. I mean, if you don't think if people care about having things to do, and they like parks, and they like places they can go, and they want to see their tax money doing something they can enjoy, and they don't have to pay a whole lot of money. So that's one of the big driving things we have. And tearing down dilapidated houses. And our fun facts to know and tell that came out yesterday, I think that we put out, Steve Newton puts out periodically when we get information.
The legendary Steve Newton.
The legendary Steve Newton. I think that I think it's that 80% of the county has access to broadband. But is that a real number? Some places say you have access to broadband.
Some people, what they call broadband is not very broad.
Is not very broad. And so that's something that we're working with Western Carolina Telephone, Blue Ridge Electric, and AT&T and all of those others trying to get it. And you see all these people working. They're just not working fast enough. We have grant applications in right now, and we have money in reserve to match those grant applications as soon as the government moves. So you heard, oh, we got all this broadband money that the federal government's going to throw out. Well, they ain't throwing it out yet.
You also brought memorials downtown. That new firefighters memorial is dedicated. A lot of good comments on that.
A lot of good. I think that brought the fire service together because we let all of the fire service and all of Anderson County participate. We had a wonderful ceremony. I think that's well received, and we're very pleased with that. Now we have a group working to put the Veterans Memorial at the Civic Center across from Kid Venture, which would be more like a park.
Right, than just a marker.
Than a marker, more like a park. And they're beginning their fundraising efforts right now. I think it's $3 million to build that, but the county council has allocated land for them to do that in a very prominent place, because the memorial we have now, you can't find it. If I told you where it is, you can't find it because you're going to go in a parking lot and then walk down a hill. So it's not good. Anderson has a high proportion of veterans, people who from Anderson and people who've moved in. And so I think that's the biggest thing that the museum has done in many, many years. Don Chapman, now Representative Don Chapman, designed it. He did a magnificent job. I've been with tour groups going through and look at it, and everybody is just knocked over by it. And they're going to, some more things that they're going to do along those lines. But our museum is a treasure, and I'll put it up against any museum in the whole world, and we have other things coming up there. And one of the things that Beverly, who does a magnificent job running that museum, is it's time to put the lights back in the fountain.
The fountain that was downtown Anderson was later literally found in pieces in a field, brought back to the museum, put together, rusted, needed some problems, so they sent it to, did you finish that up? Huh?
Well, then a group restored it, but it wasn't restored. If they hadn't
They did the best they could.
They did the best they could, and if they hadn't done that, there'd been nothing left to work with. But this involved the people who restored the Hunley and all of that stuff. And we sent it down there, and it stayed in a bath for a year and everything, and put it back together. And so now we have it back at the museum where it's safe. But when it was originally built, it had lights in that fountain.
Yeah.
And it was either the only one or one of two in the whole country that had lights in the fountain, and it's time to bring those lights back.
The busy year meant infrastructure improvements, and there was some grant money and other money coming in. Can you recap some of those infrastructure?
Well, we're still working to get sewer to exit 14. They're probably working there today. That's coming along real good. That area will blow up as soon as that's done. We've taken a lot of that money and redone sewer lines that have been in the ground since sewer was invented. We've run lines into new areas that allow industry to come in. We're closing the 6 and 20 wastewater plant, which has outlived its usefulness, so we'll be closing that down, and we will be running sewer in a different direction towards the city, which we have an agreement. The city and the county and Homeland Park have an interest in those wastewater treatment plants. So a whole lot of stuff going on with sewer. We took a whole lot of the money that they were giving out from Washington and put it in infrastructure. rather than doing something that would be a quick hit, do something that will last for generations. And that's what council did. They came up with a plan to do sewer. We're also excited about receiving $8 million more this year for road work in Anderson County, which council voted on 2 weeks ago to send to the Anderson County Transportation Commission. So that's going to put us ahead. And I think that we need even more assistance from the Department of Transportation on things like Main Street, Murray Avenue, and those things, because those are the major state roads. Do we have work to do? Yes, the county does, but we really would like a lot of that money to hit some of the major arteries. We have 1,500 miles of county roads, 1,250 miles of state roads, and that doesn't include any of the mileage inside the city limits of all the towns. So it's a daunting task. And to keep up with that and to try to get, we're not ahead of it, I promise you that, but keeping up with it, we're always looking in the distance, trying to get there. But they're working every day with strategies to prolong the life of roads, but we could really use a large dose of money from the DOT. I mean, we want everybody in Charleston to have a good road. We want everybody in Columbia and Greenville and Spartanburg. We're all for them.
In the PD.
In the great PD, but we certainly could use a nice slug around here.
All right, 22 also marked the first full year and 4 months of countywide's EMS system. I know MedShore's getting all the vehicles to the stations finally, and because of back orders and stuff. And the county's been diligently tracking this new system. What are the stats telling you?
Telling you it's working better than we imagined it to be. Our paramedic corps will put them up against anybody in the state. We are fully staffed. No place else is fully staffed. Our goal to get to you under 10 minutes, we've about hit that 95% of the time. We had, on some of the transports, we've had some issues, but they had to do with personnel, not our personnel, the private contractor. They've addressed some of those issues, and it's getting better. And it must be getting better because everybody's coming here looking to see how we're doing it, and they can't get anybody to work. And I think our people take pride in their work, and we know from the letters we get from citizens that my daddy fell and there was somebody there in 5 minutes, and I mean, we just get lots of good feedback. We knew it was going to be bad for 6 months.
I think one of the biggest tangible outcomes of that people are seeing, these quick response vehicles. And what kind of feedback are y'all getting on those quick, that save money and time and also take care of what?
The fact that they're quick and the person in that vehicle is not an EMT, not an EMT2, it's a paramedic, the highest you can go. And these guys and gals, they like it because they are not transporting people. You don't go in that profession to tote a stretcher. That's part of the job, okay? And that's why you don't see a lot of older paramedics, because that's wear and tear on your body doing that all that time. Our paramedics go treat you. They treat you. If they need to ride in that ambulance to get you to the hospital, they will. But they get to do what they became paramedics for, and that's medicine. And they like that.
Looking to New Year's in 2023, what is on the top of the agenda for the council moving ahead into that first quarter?
We have some economic development projects that will be coming to fruition at that time, so that will take up some of their time. Naturally, because it will be halfway through the year, they'll begin to turn towards looking at the budget and setting goals and priorities. We'll have a new member of council that they will be setting committees and working with the new council member, and it'll be a busy first 3 months, but it'll be a good first 3 months because there are a lot of good things that are going to happen in Anderson, and a lot of good things that are going to happen for the people in Anderson. So we're looking forward, happy.